Okay, do you pay off the mortgage by the time you retire? There's certainly an emotional side to it. Hey, wouldn't it be nice to have the mortgage paid off by the time we retire? I hear that a lot. And then also a mathematical side, right? Hey, my buddies told me, what's the interest on my mortgage? What's the interest on my investments? Okay, this decision makes more sense. So there's always two sides of it. And usually people are conflicted because sometimes the emotional and mathematical side don't point us towards the same road. Well, I'm here to tell you it should, right? And if it's not, you might be thinking about things a little bit out of perspective. Okay, so before we dive in, like, comment, subscribe. Without further ado, we're going to just dive straight into it. Okay, so we've been going on this journey. We have Mike and Rachel that were 10 years out from retirement, and we've been going on this journey of, hey, what do you do each step of the way? Now they're 7 years out, and they're trying to make the decision: do we pay off our mortgage by the time we retire? Do we keep it? What do we do? Okay, and there's the emotional side, the mathematical side. I'm going to start with the emotional side, and then we're going to get into the mathematical side, screen share some numbers here in a second. Okay, so the emotional side, to make sure we're on the same page, we have to go into this discussion knowing that retirement is not a finish line. Okay, and I know you're probably thinking, well, it certainly feels like a finish line. You know, I've been working for 30 years. I know that's what it feels like, but it's not. Okay, it's not a finish line. It's a chapter. It's one of multiple chapters in your story. The finish line is the last page that says the end, right? And that's death, to be blunt. Retirement's just a chapter. There's many chapters in your story. There's maybe kids, grandkids, you have college, childhood, retirement years, career years, maybe traveling the world. You have all these different chapters. Retirement's one of them. Okay, if we adopt that mindset going in, then we don't feel the pressure to have a liability paid off in the middle of the story, right? Or a mortgage paid off by the time you retire. You shouldn't have that pressure, okay? We want to have the liability paid off before the end of the story because we don't want our beneficiaries' kids inheriting our liabilities. But having it paid off in the middle of the story, is that important? No. Okay. So that's a mindset you should have going in. Now, you're probably thinking at this point, totally get that. I totally get it. Think of retirement as a chapter, not a finish line. But, you know, wouldn't it be nice to have the mortgage paid off by retirement? That's a weight lifted off my shoulders. Okay, I'm still going to reason with you for a second. Okay, so if you're thinking that, it might be because of one of two reasons. Reason number one is you might place too much of your identity on your finances. I hate to be that cold, right? That's a little bit blunt to put it that way. And I get it. I get it, right? We live in a material world. I mean, you know, everything costs money: transportation, food, utility, like everything. So it's hard not this day and age to think about the money. But let me give you a picture of someone who doesn't, because I have clients that don't place any of their identity on their finances, and I see it from the outside perspective, and it's beautiful. It's almost like they're operating in a state of bliss. They're stress free, at least from a financial perspective. So let me give you what this looks like. So I'm talking with someone at a New Year's Eve party, and I ask them, like, hey, are you set to have your mortgage paid off by the time you retire? I don't know why I'm asking them this. Maybe the conversation got dull and I was scrambling for thoughts, and me, the financial advisor, I ask them this question. Maybe I'm deciding to be awkward, right? I ask them this question. And they play along. They're like, well, no, I mean, I don't know. You know, my advisor handles that stuff for me. I know I'm tracking for financial independence. We're tracking really well. We're saving the right amount of money. Our advisor tells us. I know that. But worrying about the minutia, when is the mortgage paid off, at what date, I don't really know. If that's important, our advisor is going to tell us we need to do that. I don't really think about it. I just defer it to him. I think about the day to day, you know, how I show up for my kids, my work, that sort of thing. That's kind of how I'm living right now. Well, let me tell you what, this person, uh, that's like a beautiful mind. That's the way it should be, right? And you're probably thinking, is that a little bit too lax? Like, shouldn't they know exactly the date their mortgage is going to be paid off and that sort of thing? They're operating in a state of bliss. And I'm telling you that that's factual. Okay. They said a couple important things that they should know. Hey, we're tracking for financial independence. We're saving the right amount. Our advisor told us that. Those are the important things. Outside of that, they're not worrying about it. Okay. Now you might be thinking, okay, I know I don't place too much of my identity on my finances. I know I don't. So that can't be the right reason. Maybe option number two is maybe you got too big of a mortgage. Could that be it? Because if you don't have too big of a mortgage, it won't feel like a weight, right? Like you've probably had your mortgage for 15, 20 years and you're 20 years into this 30-year mortgage. Do you mean to tell me it's felt like a weight this whole time? It stressed you out the whole 20 years you've had it? Hopefully not. If so, I kind of feel a little bit bad for you. But it shouldn't feel that way, right? And if it doesn't feel like a weight, a stressor the past 20 years, then it won't the next 10. And it won't by the time you pay it off, right? So whether it's paid off at retirement or not, it doesn't feel like a burden. Is how it should be. If it's not, if it's too big of a mortgage, there's a whole other conversation we might need to have. Okay, so this is the mindset. I'm staying objective here. Should we pay Rachel and Mike's mortgage off or not? I don't know yet, but I'm staying objective. This is just the mentality that we adopt going into the analysis. Now, Mike and Rachel, okay, should look familiar. Mike and Rachel, this is their exact scenario. They got their mortgage as of today. There's $290,000 left on it. And it's set to be paid off 14 years from now. Okay. And Mike is retiring 10 years from now. So at the start of 2036, Mike is going to be retired. And at that point, there's going to be 4 more years left on the mortgage. So Mike and Rachel face a decision. Do they pay off the $95,000 that will be left on the mortgage, or do they not worry about it? Okay. Keep in mind the interest rate is 5.5%. So Mike and Rachel, the 95 that will be left, they have 2 options to pay this off. Option number 1 is they are in 2036 just going to pull $95,000 out of their investment account and dump it directly at the mortgage to eliminate it. Does that option make sense? Well, that option heavily makes Mike and Rachel susceptible to sequence of return risks. I'll tell you that. And if you don't know what sequence of return risk is, I'm going to do a completely separate video on that. But here's Cliff Notes version. Sequence of return risk tells us, hey, what is the probability that Mike retires in 2036 and the stock market's down that year and he pulls $95,000 out of his investments to dump it at the mortgage when the market's down? Oh boy, no, he doesn't want to do that, right? That could take years off of his retirement funding. That is detrimental. You don't want to sell at a loss. And he's susceptible to that if he decides he and she decides to do that. So is that the best option? Usually not. An option that we'll weigh that might have a little bit more merit is, hey, instead of lump summing at the mortgage, maybe we pay extra each and every year, and we pay on top of what's required. So this is 0 by the time 2036 hits. So we overpay on our mortgage and it goes straight to principal. Okay, well, let's look at some of the math. So $95,000 is what's going to be left in 2036. I want to figure out what is 95,000 in today's dollars, okay? What is $95,000 equivalent to in 2026? Because I want to know in terms of today. So present value. So the future value is that 10 years from now, and the interest on the mortgage is 5.5%, but the present value is 55,000. So 95, 10 years from now is really 55 today. Okay, now let's do an interest comparison. I'm going to make this super simplistic, almost overly simplistic for the sake of this video, but present value is 55, 10 years from now we have, and we're going to compare the interest of the mortgage, which we know is 5.5%, to that of the stock market, which the past 100 years has averaged 10. And like I said, or like we saw, the mortgage will have 95 left on it 10 years from now. If we invested in the market, it would be $143,000. So what does that tell us? That tells us you could be one of two people, and I'm talking to Mike and Rachel here. Mike and Rachel can decide to be person number one that says, hey, we're not going to overpay on our mortgage. Instead, we're going to invest that money. And yes, 10 years from now, we're going to have this $95,000 liability, but we're going to have $143,000. I'm going to round up. I'm going to say $145,000 we're going to have in our investments. Okay, so 95 liability, $145,000 asset. That's equivalent to positive $50,000 versus person number two. They decide to overpay at the mortgage, and they're not going to have the $145,000 investment 10 years from now, but they're also not going to have the $95,000 liability. Okay, so they're break even. They're zero. This person's positive $50,000 investment because they decided to direct the money towards an investment account. Okay, so that's a $50,000 decision. Now, does it always work in favor of person number one choosing the investment route? No, right? Like interest rates are different. You can have a recast feature on your mortgage that makes maybe an overpayment more attractive. There could be things that tilt the decision, but for Mike and Rachel, it makes no sense for them to overpay their mortgage. Direct it towards the investment, they come out $50,000 ahead by doing it. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful. The emotional side, the mathematical side points them towards the right decision. If you haven't seen the previous videos in the series on Mike and Rachel, check them out and stay tuned for our next one. They're going to be 6 years out and they got a big decision to make.